Hi, this is Kate from Izzalicious Designs, and today I'm going to show you how to make this little basket. As you can see, it's tiny, it fits into my hand, it's got a little base that is loomed in as well. We're going to make it using two looms that we're going to put together, and this is what I'm going to call the extended move it forward technique. So it will be for larger murals, in fact, and I've just changed this mural. I just did 5 columns of it like this and turned it into a little basket. So the first part of the video is just about how to make an extended loom version of the mural, and then I will do a second portion to the video which shows you how to turn it into this little basket. So let's get started. What you're going to need is 2 looms. I have not worked out yet how it would be easy enough to do with 1 loom. You're going to need your Rainbow Loom hook, because it has the base removal tool on the end of it, and we are going to be changing how these looms are going to look, how they're fitting together. What we want to do is have them together like this, so they're going to be in the standard offset configuration. But if we just had a base plate between these two, it would be very weak, I suppose. It's going to be a weak portion of the loom. So what I need to do, I'm going to turn these over, and bear with me on this, okay? I'm going to take first of all the big base plate out, and I'm going to take the small base plate out of my first loom, and I'm going to put the small base plate in the middle. So I have a small base plate, a small base plate, and at the bottom here is where I'm going to put the first side of my big base plate, like that. Okay, now over here on the second loom, I'm going to take the small base plate out, and I'm going to take the big base plate out and put the big base plate to one side, put the little base plate in the middle, so you have the 2 base plates here. So this is how it's looking at the moment. Okay, one loom is like this, other loom is like that. We're going to be joining these together like this. Okay, so you've got 2 base plates, 1 big base plate, and then the 2 little base plates, again like that. Now the other big base plate, we're just going to, as I said, leave it to the side for the minute, because as you know, we move things forward. So as we start moving things forward, we will be putting this next base plate here to stop things from completely collapsing in the middle of our loom. So I've worked my pattern out that I want to do, and I'm going to do basically the same pattern as this, but I'm going to be using different bands today, different colours. I don't want the same colours, and I'm going to be using the Lucky Loom new bands. Originally their earth tone kit and their skin tone kit and their rainbow kit were made of silicone, so they didn't stretch very far. Well, they've come up with a new kind of band, and this is their cocoa colour, the brown. It's absolutely lovely for doing hair and skin, but it's also beautiful for doing things like murals. As you can see, they stretch beautifully, and I have done a test against a Rainbow Loom band. This is a Rainbow Loom skin tone band, and they stretch about the same, which is fantastic. But if you have a look, the Rainbow Loom one comes back a bit scrunchy. It sort of gets out of shape quite easily like that, but this one tends to keep its shape a little better. So I'm very happy with that. They do a lovely brown, so I'm going to be using that today as the base colour of my basket. As I said, I like using that one for hair. They also have a lovely red. It's a sort of deeper, darker red than the vibrant sort of fire engine red. I'm going to be using that as well. This is beautiful. I did Merida's hair with this, and Ariel's hair with this. It's a lovely deep red. So I'm going to be using that. And that's from Lucky Loom as well. Lucky Loom sell theirs in a kit, and it's on Amazon. They also, a lot of you ask me where I get the yellow to do my figure's hair. This is the yellow. It's from Lucky Loom. It's in that kit. And then they do two different kinds. They do a pink, which is a sort of pink, I guess. But it's quite good because they also do a salmon. And so if you're doing murals and you're looking for different sort of skin shades, the salmon, and that's what I did my first mural in with the panda, is very different slightly from the pink. And so if you're looking for different shades of skin when you're making a mural, this would actually be quite good for that. I think it does work quite nicely as a skin tone. If you're pushed to use something, if you can't get your hands on skin tone, it does work. It's a little pink, but I don't really mind that too much. Now, I have been in contact with the guy that owns the company, Lucky Loom. As I said, you get them from Amazon.com, and he has a 33% off any order deal at the moment, any quantity, any order, and there's a code. Now I've got the code here, 330FF, that's F for Fred, so 330FF, 4K for Kate, and the number 8. So if you're buying any of these bands from Amazon, put that code in and you will immediately get 33% off your order. So that's worth knowing. All right, back to business. We've got our loom set up like so, and we're going to be doing brown as our base coat. Now with the move it forward, we need to place 2 on the peg to move forward to the next column, because we haven't got it there. We have to imagine that it's going to be there. So I'm going to put 2 just sitting here, and then I'm going to be doing 2 from here to here, because I'm double banding, and the arrow is facing towards me. If I hadn't said that, the open part of the peg, the arrow is facing towards me. Okay, I'm going to put another pair of brown here. Now I'm going to use my main colour here, is going to be the red. So I'm choosing red. And it does get a bit tricky because you've got, half a loom sticking out from under your arm, but we will make it work. And then I'm doing 3 pair of my base colour. So as I said, the colours I've chosen are brown, red, and my third colour, because I need 3, the third colour is going to be white. Okay, so I've got red, brown, 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 another pair of red. Red is going to be my first colour, and then white will be my secondary colour. Do another 3 brown, and then I'm going to do another red, three brown and red, three brown and red, and I need a bigger desk. 3 brown, and a pair of red. So as you can see, I'm doing this all the way to the bottom of my loom. Of red. Now the trick to make the edge look nice here is, I'm just going to untwist this, there we go, is that we want the next one across to happen. Okay, so let's lay our bands. I've put this one here on the end. Let's lay our second row, and I've got them going across here. So for our second row, my first band is going to be brown. Now we're going to be doing, it's like a little square, as you can see on the first one. It's a little square with a different colour in the middle. Okay, so my first one is brown, and then I'm moving to red. So I'm going to do the same on the third column here, so that we can see what we're getting into, so to speak. And red. Now I picked this pattern from the bracelet book.com website, so feel free to use that website. I find it really quite helpful. And if you're looking to do a mini mural on a single loom, you'll be looking to do 12 strings, so you can do a filter search for between 2 to 12 strings, and if you're doing a larger one, then you've got 24 strings, because that's how long your loom is going to be. I've put 2 white bands here because they're going to be in the middle. And this, as you can see, is the start of my little square. We're going to have 3 red here, and that will be my square. So then I'm going to put 2 brown and another 2 brown. Now this time, instead of doing a red square with a white in the middle, I'm going to do a white square with a red in the middle. Brown bands, and then we're going to do another red square with a white in the middle. Hopefully you can see the type of pattern that is starting to form here. Now we need 2 brown bands before we do our white square. So there's the 2 brown, and now we do our white square. And that one will have 2 red in the middle. Brown, that's a very stretched band. I think I'll leave that one out. I'll do a red square next. Two brown, oops, where did that go? There it is. And we'll finish with a white square. Put 2 brown there, across, and 2 brown here. Now, actually, I'm looking at this and I can see that it's not right. I'm going to take these off. What we have to do is lay these ones down first. So lay these down. So how we're going to do these bottom ones, we're going to put 2 on here, and then we're going to put 2 from here to here, and 2 from here to here, like that. And we're going to put an end cap on this one here. Take a single band, wrap it once and twice, and we'll pop the end cap, oopsie, on there, like that. Now, I'm going to put these bands away, just for, not away, but just back in their containers so I don't spill things all over the place. The other thing that we're going to need to do is use some crossover bands, because if we just looped all this up now, it's just going to be 3 separate chains, and we don't obviously want that. Our 4th colour, or lack of colour, is going to be clear, and we're going to use the clear to stretch from column 1, from row 1 across the 3 pegs. Now, when you do a crossover band, they usually only go between 5 and 6 pegs happily, without breaking or making the mural look silly, or your figure look silly if you're making a figure. So we're only going 5 columns. If you're making a larger mural, what you do is, as you get to your 5th peg over here, you add another band onto it as well. And you can see how I do that in some of my other videos where I've made capes and things like that. So stretch your band across all of these rows like this. Down to here. I'm going to get another loom just to quickly show you what I mean about adding another one. So if this is just another loom I have, if for example we were doing all of these columns and you needed to put crossover bands over, okay, and you can see that you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 columns, what you would do is stretch your, I'll do it in a different colour so you can see easily, stretch your band evenly over 4. As I said, it goes between 5 and 6, but if you've got say 8, going between 4 and 4 is a good option. So this is how you would do it. You lay your first one over 4, or you can do 5, it doesn't matter which way you do it, and lay the other one across, okay, and that would give you the extension that you need without a gap for your crossovers. Okay, so I hope that's a little clear if you're doing something that has a little bit more oomph to it. Okay, so let's go back to our mural. Now that we have our crossover bands on, we need to loop it up. Okay, so let's get ready, and we're going to start looping up our first columns. We're going to dig down past this end cap, and we need to grab the 2 top brown bands first and loop them to the right to this peg here. Okay, then we can dig down and find the 2 red bands, and we loop these up, and we're going to loop all the way to the top of our loom. And I always say this, and I really do mean it, if you find I'm going too fast for you, please pause the video. Pause the video, catch up to where I am, rewind it, and you know, we will go from there. It's very, very difficult to go slower than your own natural looming pace. and I guess with practice you get faster and faster. But I did make a bit of a funny video on how I would sound if I was going really slow, and I think you'd all be cracking up laughing. You should go and listen to that one. I sound like I'm drunk. Alright, we're going to dig down here and grab the 2 brown bands and move those to the right. Now back to the bottom of your loom, and we're going to grab the 2 top brown bands again and loop them to the right, and this is to give us a nice finish on the edges. Dig down, grab the 2 brown bands, and we loop these up. I did do a larger basket, and its shape, it looked very different, whereas the little one is sort of rounded and chubby, and sort of looks like it would fit an egg in it quite nicely. The other one, I'll show you the difference. There's the little round one, and then this is one I made that was larger. And while I still think it's quite cute, it is considerably larger, and almost, if you didn't put the handle on it or the bottom, you could use it as a stubby holder, a beer bottle holder, or a drink bottle holder. But as you can see, the mural I did on this was the sun on a blue background, but it's done exactly the same way as this, except I just didn't do as many columns moving forward. Okay, so there are different things that you can make with this. And as I said, this video is just going to be showing the move it forward technique, because not everybody who wants to learn the extended loom move it forward wants to necessarily make a basket. So dig down under these bands, and you're going to find your 2 bottom brown bands, lift that up and loop it to the right. If it's tight, and I can see that it is, I'm going to twist my hook around the outside of that peg to loosen it up so I have that teardrop shape. Now this is secure for us to take off the loom. I still like to make sure that everything is pushed down, and I try and keep my finger, I don't just sort of rip it off, I try and keep my finger nearby so that we don't lose anything on that second column. And I am going a bit slower than normal, so this video is probably going to be a bit longer, because I just want to show you exactly what I'm doing. You can use a hook to help you take this off, or fingers. Whatever you're comfortable with. Alright, now comes the fun bit. As you all know, with the move it forward technique, if you're making my figures and stuff like that, we need to take this column and move it here to become number 4. So we're going to take our loom and turn it over. Use your removal tool. The first thing that we're going to do is move the small base plates. Okay, move them so that this column of pegs, which has nothing on it now, is going to have no base plate. Again, move the mini ones, the smaller base plates, over. Move down to the bottom. You're leaving that big one completely alone. Move it forward and move this one forward. Now you might find that it's sort of gone in and you have to move them out a bit. That's okay, that's normal. It still pushes in nicely. You're going to leave this one for the minute completely like that. Okay, now let's take our first column off and we're going to move it forward. It's going to be at the same level as the one in front of it. We'll move this one and we're going to move it forward, like that. Now if you look, it's only being gosh, where did my English language go? By these two and these two. So what we're going to do now is take our big base plate, the one that we weren't using, and we're going to pop it there. Okay, and that's going to stop this from crumpling in the middle. Turn it back over. Alright, now we need to lay the bands. So we have another column that we need to do here. So we need to take 2 brown and place them up here on the top to do nothing until we're ready for them. Then dig down and find those 2 that were doing nothing and move them across. Okay, now we lay the pattern for our brown one, for our 4th column. So we start with a brown one. Now we're doing the other side of our little square here, so we need red bands. Again, we're still working in pairs, we're doing double banding. So now you can see there's the outline of our square with the little white in the middle. Okay, then we do a pair of brown to separate it from the white square. So here's our little white square, the other side of it. We've got 3 white, and then we do a pair of brown, and then we have 3 red, and a pair of brown, 3 white, oops, fumble fingers strikes again, and a pair of brown, 3 red, oops, and a pair of brown, and then lastly we have our 3 white, and now let's see what we have here. We have to lay our pair of brown, oops, I've got 3 brown, lay our pair of brown. We've got this that needs to go across to the other side, so let's pop that on there to go to the next column, but let's also put these ones on top like that. Okay, I'm going to get rid of these bands because otherwise I'm going to shower them all over the office, my room. Drag your crossover bands over so that you're now incorporating the new column into these. That is important, so drag those all across. And this is only column 4, so we can still move these crossover bands over to the next column. We don't have to add new ones like I showed you on the green loom. Now I've pulled that all the way across, so now we can loop up this middle column. First of all, we're going to go down and find the top 2 brown and loop them to the side. Okay, then dig down, find the 2 bottom brown, and we loop up. Push the crossover bands back with the back of your hook so that you're just exposing those 2 bottom bands. And this can go on as long as you want. I mean, you can do quite a large lengthwise mural with this, and this would just be the width. The length is determined by how long you go that way. So whereas in my case this is the length and I'm doing the width by going only 5 columns. You could make it so that this is the width, the 24 is the width, and the length is how many columns you go across. Okay, dig down. We're finding those bottom 2 brown bands. Let me move these out the way. Bottom 2 brown bands. There's one. Come on. There it is. Push that one onto this peg, and I'm just running my hook around the outside so that it's not too tight. I can now take this first column off my loom. Again, as I said, I'm doing it gently. I'm making sure that this does not come off. Okay, that's important. Otherwise, you'll be frustrated with me. And this is just a good little technique if you don't really like doing the transfers all the time, or if you're used to figure making. We do this quite often in figure making, so it's a technique that you're quite used to. Now we're going to turn our loom upside down, and these mini base plates we're going to move forward again. Okay, so move that one here, and move this one to here. And remember, I said that sometimes it's going to squidge in. Don't worry about that. Move this one. I do tend to keep my hand on the middle one so that nothing flies off. There we go. So that's now moved forward. So what I'm going to do is take my first column of pegs and move that forward, and then my next one, and keep them in line so that they're the same height. Okay, so you can see that as we lose this one, we would move this one forward again as well. So that's how this keeps the center strong. Now this is our last column, so we don't have to put a band here first. We'll go straight into that, but we're going to do 2 red, and if you remember, we then do 3 pair of brown and a pair of red, and then 3 pair of brown and a pair of red, 3 pair of brown and a pair of red, 3 pair of brown. And I have to admit, I'm sitting here using my brown and my red and thinking, oh no, I'm using these colours and I won't have anything to do hair with. My last pair of brown, and move this one forward like that. Now the next thing we need to do is drag the crossovers over. because this is our last column, we can loop up all of them now at the same time. So I'm going to make a bit of room here. Remember, dig down and get those two top ones, and you're looping them to the side, and then dig down and find the bottom. Now if you're extending further, you're not going to be looping this column up, okay? You just do the middle one. And you would have put extra loops here to go across, just like we did with all the others. When we get to here, we're going to dig down and find those bottom two brown bands and loop them to the side. Now, do you remember, if we were doing another column, we'd take this off. And do be forceful about holding things down. You've got a lot of pressure on these, okay? So I'll do it as if we were doing another column, even though we're not. Make sure that you're keeping your hand forcefully on here. I mean, I'm not saying put all your weight on it, but you know, you don't want things to fly off and your loom to sort of cave in half. So there we go, we took that one off. Now if you were continuing, if you're doing it again, you'd turn your loom over, do your minis, maybe do the middle one first, because then this is still being held open, okay? So do the middle one first, then the small one up the top, like that, then move down here. I'm going to do the middle one first, small one up the top. You see how that one just falls away? Well, that doesn't matter because there's nothing on it, okay? And so this again is like, you turn this over and you would put your next row, column here. And just like when we were starting, this one just sits to one side until you move this column across, and then you add it here, just like when we were starting, okay? So let's loop this up. If you were doing your next column, you would have had bands here to go across. Depending how many screams I get of "I don't understand," will depend on if we do something a bit longer or not. But I think you should get the gist of this. Up to the top here, and now we're going to need 2 brown bands so that we can tie this off. So So take your brown bands, you're going to push your hook down through past all of those bands out the side here, and pop the 2 brown bands on the end of your hook and drag them back through to the back side of that peg. Okay, like this. Then take the 2 closest to you up, over and off, and pull tight. Now we're ready to take this off our loom. And here, as you can see, I'm just going to sort of stretch it out so it's a bit in its shape, is our little extended loom version. And as you can see, if you were to go further and further and further out here, it would be bigger and bigger. The first one we did was the mini one, which was only half this size. Okay, so there we are. There we have it. I hope you enjoy. And my next tutorial will show you how to turn this into this. Take care.